After the death of Mother Marie Desange in 1909, Sister Elvisha was appointed acting Superior General. In 1910, in God's design, it was Mother Elvisha who was chosen as the second Superior General to fill the place left empty with the passing of Mother Marie Desange. Her superior generalship saw the springtime of the congregation. It expanded and developed under her masterly guidance. To Mother Elvisha, therefore, passed the mantle of authority and the future sapling of the Apostolic Carmel, which she brought to fuller growth and maturity. Immediately after her elections, she opened the canonical novitiate and a formal juniorate at St. Anne's. Mangalore was a large village in the 1910, politically dominated by the British. It was a time when there were absolutely no modern conveniences such as no proper roads, no electric lights, no means of transport except bullock carts and a few horse-drawn carriages for the well-to-do. A time when the girls married while they were in their early teens. Mother Elvisha's assumption of office as the Superior General brought a host of all kinds of scholastic matters, departmental correspondence, requests for the opening of houses, personnel for the schools and others which made continual demand on her time and talents. She was the be-all and end-all to whom everyone looked up for help and guidance. Mother Elvisha had now to obey God's hardest call to traverse the unknown paths. The Lord was calling her to wipe out illiteracy, care for the neglected girl child in the villages. She did not refuse the good God anything he asked of her. Her life motto was the glory of God. Mother Elvisha was elected 3 times Superior General. During these years, she opened a number of convents and schools which are the monuments of her love, service and sacrifices. St. Agnes Convent in 1914, St. Cecily's Udupi in 1918, Providence School at Calicut in 1919, Stella Maris Convent, Ullal in 1920, Lady Hill Convent, Mangalore in 1921, Mount Carmel Convent in Ahmedabad in 1923. She was always alive to the future needs of women's education. There were 3 events that were the landmarks in the growth of the Apostolic Carmel congregation. All these owe much to Mother Elvisha's spade work and hard-loving labor. First, her greatest contribution to women's education rests in the founding of St. Agnes College by her in 1921. The burning torch of higher education held aloft and handed on by St. Agnes College has its source and origin in the philosophy and teaching of its founder, Mother Elvisha. The background to the starting of this institution of higher learning was the profound thinking of Mother Elvisha. She realized that at this point in the world history, when women as wives and mothers held the destinies of the nation in their hands, they should first be molded to ideals answering to their highest concept of life. Hence, with a long and varied experience of children, Mother Elvisha had become alarmingly aware of the modern tendencies in girls. To her sister she wrote, "I am prompted to open a Catholic college for our girls and young teachers who are anxious to graduate and better their prospects. Let us seek God's holy will in this matter. Sisters, awaken your intellects, rise in the educational sphere, and bravely set yourselves to raise the standard of your efficiency. We are nearly all victims of the vicious habit of living far below natural born endowments. Remember that there is no success without risks." Mother Elvisha had already prepared the nucleus of staff for Women's College by sending her sisters for further education and training as college teachers. Despite difficulties, contradictory advice, and sometimes seemingly impossible barriers, The first Catholic women's college became a reality and was prayerfully dedicated on 2nd July 1921. St. Agnes College is the first women's college on the west coast of India and the first in the entire country to run by a private management. Mother Helvetia is truly proclaimed as a woman of faith, mettle, and far-sighted visionary for development and progress. Second, starting the convents in Sri Lanka. Right at the infant stage, the congregation became international. Mother Helvetia dared to cross the oceans to spread the good news to the people of Ceylon, and now it is known Sri Lanka, to provide quality education to those children of the island. The first convent was St. Joseph's in Trincomalee, established in February 1922, and St. Joseph's Convent in Batticola in May 1922. Both these convents were taken over from the Sisters of Cluny. Third, in 1924, she forwarded the Constitution of the Apostolic Carmel to Rome for approval, and in 1926 received the decree of praise and approval of the Constitution for 7 years. This was the great moment of joy and celebration for the entire Apostolic Carmel congregation. It's a matter of great pride for all of us to know that Mother Helvetia's contributions in the field of women's education was recognized by the then British government of India, and she was awarded the Kaiser-e-Hind Gold Medal of the first class in the year 1929. She was the first woman recipient of such a prestigious national award. I would like to read a few phrases and sentences expressed by different persons. She was recognized as a great woman, a strong character, a leader of hearts, an all India woman, the saintly mother, a noble character, a grand personality, lover of truth and charity. Here was indeed an ideal of womanhood. These are some of the attributes showered on her during her lifetime. Her exquisite manners laid bare her great and noble soul and gifted intelligence. For someone of Mother Helvetia's forceful nature and decisive personality, for the last 11 years after laying down the mantle of generalship, were to be a period of rest after strenuous work. Yet, with her immense capacity for work and with a vision for the congregation and the mission yet to be accomplished, rest was surely a time of restlessness and reluctant acceptance of growing old. Mother Helvetia spent these years at St. Agnes Convent, with some visits to other convents, writing letters and the history of the congregation, a revision of the Constitution which kept her occupied. When her life drew to a close in April 1939, tributes poured in from every quarter. She would have attributed it all to God and her sisters. Reverend Father C.B. Lobo, in his address to students of St. Agnes College, who held a condolence meeting on the death of Mother Helvetia, said, Mother Helvetia was a woman of too much dynamic energy to rest satisfied with what she had achieved. She would press forward, plough the vast field of education to the utmost of her capacity. She dreamed of many things. She planned many a project and quietly and patiently bided her time to bring it to fruition. The students of St. Agnes College are especially indebted to her. In her, they have lost one who was not only the founder and cornerstone of this institution, but also one whose very presence was an inspiration to them in everything that was noble, grand, and worth striving after. To know her was to be influenced by her, and her influence was so strong that it invariably left an impress on those who came in contact with her. We all need an ideal in life. Take Mother Helvetia as your ideal. Here is a valiant woman who, confiding in God, was able to achieve such great things for womankind. Copy her courage, her self effacement, and her persevering effort. We hope that the words of the then students of Mother Helvetia might ring true in the hearts of the student today also. Go where we may, the sound principles of religion and morality Mother Helvetia sought to instill in us in her own inimitable motherly way will ever remain to guide our footsteps and keep us on the right path. She was indeed a woman among women, and a great credit to Mangalore. She was indeed a great visionary, luminary, missionary, and the architect of the Apostolic Carmel congregation. The many houses of the Apostolic Carmel all over India and Sri Lanka, which are the fruits of her missionary endeavor, forethought, and wisdom, will stand as living monuments to her for all times, and the innumerable products of the convent she multiplied will sing her praises for all ages. The Apostolic Carmel needed a person of great intellectual caliber to give shape, structure, and form to an expanding educational mission. Anyone less could not have planned, motivated, and executed with advice, letters, visits, and exhortations. Like St. Paul in his letter to the early church, Mother Helvetia shepherded the early Apostolic Carmel flock. That she was able to do this for 36 years of teaching and training, 18 years as Superior General, is the result of the vigor of her mind, the depth of sacrifice of self, and letting the love of her beloved Lord bear on every thought, word, and deed of her life. Put yourself to attempt the highest, the best. Your initiative will spur others to follow suit, said Mother Helvetia. She was the spur, the moving spirit of the Apostolic Carmel for well nigh 66 years. This is not just a tribute to her memory, but a call to bear witness and renew our life in the apostolate of education bequeathed to us by the band of pioneering sisters under the guidance and valiant leadership, one whose biographer, Sister Xavier, called her a woman to remember, one whom we revere as Mother Helvetia, in whose footsteps we, the Apostolic Carmel family, are honored to follow. Long live the spirit of Mother Helvetia and move within us. We firmly believe that Mother Helvetia's life and philosophy remains absolutely relevant to the present time. Her life and her precepts will serve as an inspiration to all our faculty members in order to help them become effective educators in the field of Christian education today. Let me conclude with a tribute of praise to Mother Helvetia in Thomson's terms. Verily, she was a monument of intellectual sagacity. Thank you, and God bless us all.